G'day YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Look, up in Bundaberg at the moment, we're getting towards the end of winter in August. And I see on the news 11 is the coldest we're going to get for the next few days, and 23. So yeah, look, it's nice and warm. We've had lovely sunny days, but just at the moment, this morning on Monday morning, it's 7 AM Monday morning, and it looks like a bit of cloud cover today outside. So anyway, that's all right. We can deal with that. You never know, we've dealt with worse. But this last week, well, I got the shed, well, the shed's looking bloody good. I've got it now to where half of the shed here I can pressure clean out. I have still to clean the bench over there and around the 135 better yet, but I got to the stage last week where I could pressure clean out okay, and I've swept and pressure cleaned and tidied the floor up nicely. I've got the TE20 just sitting over here, the TEA20. Hopefully today I'll get to that distributor. I've had a bit of a busy weekend again. I always have busy weekends, but that's all right. We don't mind that, do we? And I brought the 23C engine in that I had out the front, and I got it on the stand. And the last couple of days we've been doing videos on tearing that down and having a bit of a look at what's there. An interesting thing that we did while it was on its way down, a little while ago, you remember James Holland, he sent me a couple of lock tabs for the TEF20. Now this lock tab there, that's for the crankshaft, and it's got a little cutout where you can fold the tab up, and this fella here is for the camshaft on the TEF20. So while I was pulling this engine apart, the 23C engine, I had a look and see if these will fit, and look, it's the same lock tab. So not only has James done a lock tab for the TEF20, but he's done them for the 23C Standard Motor Company engine as well. So yeah, James may not have known about that, whether it fitted it, but he knew it fitted his TEF20. So that's a good thing. We're going to sort some of them for Queensland Tractor Spares. The dogs just took off out the door to chase a kangaroo. I need a camera out there, it's good value, good watching. But yeah, look, we got that engine apart, and it looks like the cylinder head's been done up, and on number 4 on the inlet or exhaust? I think it would be the exhaust. Exhaust inlet, no, inlet, don't mind me, don't know what I'm talking about. On the inlet valve, it must have sat in the scrap metal yard, or wherever it sat, with the inlet valve open on number 4, and a little bit of water got down into the bore, but it looks like the head's been done up, but because that valve's been open, I haven't pulled the valves out of the head yet, but it looks like that valve's sitting a millimetre or so higher, so I'm expecting a little bit of rust pitting or something like that there. But the head's been machined, and there's been quite a lot of work done on this engine that we weren't aware of. So we got the pistons out, and the rings aren't even sharp on the top, like the top compression ring is not sharp. There is not a sausage of a lip in the bore at all. And I pulled the liners out, and it's had new Bepco liners put in. It has run with the liners in, but it certainly hasn't run for long. I can still see on the top of the pistons the Bepco part number. I had to clean one up, but the others I can make it out quite clearly. 33-2 or something like that, I think it is. And so when we went to pull the pistons and rods out, we pulled the big end caps off. And it still had the assembly grease in there and up the crank, and you can see the engine had been turned by hand, but it has never had oil pressure in it since they put the new conrod bearings in. It's obviously got new pistons and gudgeon pins in it, so I haven't measured them yet, but I probably will, but I think the rods have been done by looking at it, so I'm not sure. But with the engine sitting over time, the injector pump has been full of oil, full of water, and I was trying on the video to pull it apart. I was trying to turn it over and just check where the timing was set, and just out of interest, you know, with the dial gauge on top of the piston. But when I actually got to taking the side plate off the injection pump, it's that rusty in there you can't actually read what's going on. So look, that pump's toast, but I am going to sit it up on the bench here and pull it apart just for interest, and there may still be some parts that will be able to be used for something else maybe, who knows. That's worth doing. So out of the engine, and the other amazing thing about this whole engine is the front axle pivot pin, where it sits into the cast housing there, not a sausage of movement in there. I've undone the bolt and the pin's actually tight in the housing. So I've never seen that before. So anyway, Chris had gave it to me. Thanks, Chris. Look, it's been a good thing. The rest of the tractor's sitting outside there with the top off the gearbox and water in the gearbox and the whole thing. But myself and Chris I believe know the story of this tractor. But yeah, look, it's come to a good home. The crank looks good. I haven't pulled the crank out yet. I can't pull it out on that stand because I've got the stand bolted up around the bell housing, where the bell housing would bolt onto the block, and of course on those engines the crank has to come out the back. So I'm tossing up with what I'm going to do there to hold the engine. I wouldn't mind holding on the side somewhere so I can roll the engine onto the end to drop the crank in and out. And I have a couple of these engines to do, so anything I make, any little tools I make, any brackets I make will be used over time in Bundy Bear shed here. So yeah, look, that's been a good thing. I don't know how many parts that video will be, but there'll be an introduction and a bit of a chat about it coming up this week, I'm hoping. The video's done. I've even got my little sound jiggers going. The sound's done for it. The sound and the video are all matched up. I just got to get it in there and get it happening. So that's this week's that's this week's thing we're going to get up to. So anyway, we'll see. I'll do a bit of editing at work. I can get it set up, and while it's rendering the video over to the side on one computer, I can be doing my work on the other. So look, that'll work out okay. O-Light have sent me an O-Lantern to have a bit of a look at and do a review on at some stage. We'll get to that soon. I've been playing with it, and this is a little flickering candle one. And we took this away to Bill Wheeler when we went, and we just had that in the bathroom, and that goes for 80 hours. But there's another bulb you can put in, and it's bright as buggery. So that's a good thing. I don't know, turn off now. There we go. Quick click lens. I get balls up with some of these O-Light things that you got to hold this and hold that, and it's only one button, but you got to hold it and press it 2 times, and all that. It's highly bloody technical. But anyway, so look, that's coming up sometime. Whether we get time this week or not, I don't know. I don't know if it's still going. I should have had a look before I started the video, but if you're registered with O-Light for your email address, they send you a little torch. Plasma Dave's still waiting for his, but it's not a very big torch. I think I showed you that last week, but it is bright. Holy, bright as buggery. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I found that handy. But it's a little bit small, and I don't like that stuff hanging on my keyring. With keyrings, you get 57 items on your keyring hanging off the ignition switch. It's going to wear your ignition switch in time, and by the time I have house keys, shop keys, shed keys, all the other associated stuff on my keyring, it gets heavy enough as it is anyway. So I tend not to hang stuff on there. The laser engraver that we've been bugging around with. I've changed from Inkscape, and the reason was I was just looking to bring photos and things in, and with Inkscape I could bring it in. It's a free program. I could bring it in, and you could trace the vector lines and things like that from gaskets, and I tried a couple of logos through the week and on a bit of mirror, and then go and engrave a couple of bits of mirror. And look, there's a website I don't mind watching called Happy Gilder, and he's a bloke in England, and he puts a video out every week about making lovely mirrors for like man caves, and gilding with gold leaf at the back of a mirror and things like that. And I'm a bit interested in that, so I've been watching Paul there, and hopping on there's a Facebook page, Happy Gilder Facebook page, so I've been on there having a look, and it's just an interesting thing. So we're thinking of buying, for the business, buying a vinyl cutter, plotter this week. We'll probably do that, I'd say. I just got to sort out what brands and things like that, and I've got to do some stickers on the John Deere bonnet, and just bits and pieces. We're just setting up to do just little knick-knacks. We can, the business is good, we can do it, and it'll probably help with me with this stuff too. But look, I'll show you what I've been up to with it. Now, this is my first attempt at doing a mirror, and that's the early John Deere logo. You can see the camera there, and you can see this little ornate edge here. There it is. You can see that little ornate edge there. That's got gold paint behind it, but it's too thin, and you can't see the gold, so that didn't quite work. And you can see at the back there, you can see the gold down the side and the green here. But look, that's come out nice. So I thought I'd play around with another John Deere logo, and there's that one. Now, on this one I actually made the gold, I made the border wider, and it looks like the gold took okay. But the John Deere, you can see with the John Deere here, it's a slightly washed out colour. It's a little bit more washed out than this one. You can see the difference. So this one here is nice and deep green, and the other's not. So this, the laser was turned down. This one I turned the laser up a little bit, just to try and get a cleaner etch. And look, the etch before I put the paint on was beautiful. Like, to put a light behind it, it was just lovely. But with the laser turned up, what's happened, apparently you can burn the back of the glass a little bit, and I've done that there. So that's coming out okay. I'm learning. And then, of course, we had to have a Fergie one. And that's the Fergie one. Now you can see the paint's etched through on that side. You can see a tiny gold edge here, and where are we? You can see, it's getting the flashback. You can see the Fergie logo there. Now the writing's lovely and clear. That's all we'd expect. That's no worries at all. But you'll notice it's washed out once again. And I did this one and the later John Deere one together. And you can see these black lines across the bottom there. And when you see the laser go across letters, it's sort of bip, 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 on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. But when it does the big long run there, it just stays flat out. And I believe I've had the laser up too high, and you can see that I've just burnt the back of the glass a bit with that one. But anyway, that's all right, isn't it? You can still see a slight reflection of the camera in the back wheel there. So I don't know whether, I'm just not sure. You can see a slight, when you get it to the light properly, you can see a slight silver fleck. So whether I've sort of sealed the glass over or not, but there was definitely no mirror left there. You could actually see through it. So anyway, I've been enjoying playing with that. So I've been buggering around doing that, and part of the process of learning to draw, and I've always just liked little things like that. So I thought, well, if I'm going to learn to do it, we'll learn to do everything. So those mirrors are nice little things. I don't know what you ever do with them. But I said to Jude, like, what I could probably do with them is just run through all the tractor brands, and yeah, you could have a nice wall with, you know, say A4 or letter size or something like that, and have a John Deere logo and a Fergie, and just the John Deere logos themselves, I think there's about 8 different logos. Yeah, they change the logo over time. So yeah, you could have the logo from 1936 to 1954. So you could have a nice setup along the wall, you know, just in your man cave in the back of your office or something like that. You could have, yeah, just work away over the years of getting all the nice tractor logos and getting them etched and painted in and all that sort of thing. So I don't know whether we'll ever get to that, I don't know. It's just, that's part of the learning process with this thing. So with the laser, and part of it's the drawing. So I've actually gone across to Adobe Illustrator. Now anything you draw in Adobe Illustrator is an automatic vector. As is Inkscape to a point. Well, it probably is, yeah. And but the laser, it looks at colours, and on Inkscape, CMYK, the colour CMYK setup, it doesn't do the 255 red, so you need an RGB red. So I've got to hop in each time and make an RGB red. But anyway, it works all right, it works well. So these two later logos I did with Adobe Illustrator, and the first one I did with Inkscape. So yeah, look, it's just a learning thing. It's fun to do. The other day we've had gaskets, like on a Fergie hubcap, on the front hubcap, there's a little gasket there, and what the tractor companies are doing is one size fits all, and so the same cap that fits that, they say fits the filler plug, and it just doesn't. So we've actually done a run through the week of Ferguson, and it'll probably fit Ford too. We tested it on the Fords, and we've done the proper size gaskets, so they just fit over the thread. You've almost got to screw them over the thread, but they just fit over the thread, and they're a nice neat fit outside. The other ones, as you've done them up, they'd squash out and you'd have to trim it off, and it looked crappy. So we've done the hub gaskets for the Ferguson Ford tractors, and we also did the oil filler ones. Now the oil filler ones we were bringing in, they were like a cock in a sock. Just, you put the gasket on, it'd slop around, and you'd do the plug up, and there'd be gasket, like 2 mil of gasket sticking out all around. So, and they were quite thick, and they didn't need to be so thick. So we've dropped them back to 0.9 of a millimetre thick, those gaskets, or it might be 1 millimetre, 1 mil, those gaskets, and we've laser cut them to the exact size of the outer of the cap, so you haven't got a bit of gasket sticking out in the weather. So if you do that plug up and you do it up tight, nothing can get to that gasket. So look, they're a good thing. With the laser, I've set up sheets on the laser now for my little laser, so I can do 12 at a time. So I can put a bit of paper in and just set him up, and off she goes. Yeah, bloody amazing what this stuff can do. I'm enjoying playing around with it. But like I say, we think we'll probably grab a plotter this week, and then you'll see some mischief, I reckon. See how we go. But today, now we've got the stew sort of sorted early in the day, I'll try and render that through the day while I'm doing other stuff. And I'm going to set the camera up and try and do the distributor for the TEA20. Because we've done the 23C engine, we're not going to forget the TEA20. I have a distributor to do, so we're going to do that. I've got the bearings here, I've got the puller on the bench ready to go. The only weak link's me. So we'll do that. We'll probably have that video out this week sometime. We're very close to 30,000 subscribers. We're another week or two we'll be there. That'll be interesting. Imagine all those people wanting to play with tractors. I have mates that do other stuff like 4-wheel drives, and they get a channel going and they go whoop straight to 100,000 or 60,000 or something. But yeah, the tractor game, it's just a small thing. Like everyone's into 4-wheel drives. It's only us tractor head blokes that that are into all this. But look, the little channel's growing, and I'm enjoying watching it grow. And we're getting some little, we're getting backing from Sparrows, which they've been a great sponsor for years now. And Olight have jumped on board with their stuff. I think I've got an Amazon affiliate link too, but I don't use it. I don't. And the reason I set up an affiliate link with Amazon back ages ago was because some of the pullers and that I use, and the cheaper stuff, Amazon does have them. And I thought I'd link to Amazon or buy them off Amazon and link to it, and do an affiliate program where you may get a discount being a subscriber to the channel. So, or someone supporting the videos. So anyway, we'll see. There's just that much going on with all that. It's just hard to keep up with running a business, running Bundy Bear's shed, having time to do all this. The little PDO bushes on the TE20, we're nearly out of them now, so I've got to head up this week and do another run of those. This last week we just got the plates for the back of the heads on the TE20s done. I did a batch of 30 of them on Tuesday, and we've got the gaskets all cut. We have spare gaskets. So we have a kit where we put the plate, the 2 bolts and the gasket on Queensland Tractor Spares. But we're going to put the gasket as a separate item now, just if someone wants to replace a gasket. And part of pulling this 23C engine apart is that we can look for gaskets like the one behind the water pump housing that people would reasonably want to pull the water pump off, see that rusty, pull that off, there's only 1 bolt to go, and give that a clean up, but then you can't buy the gasket. You're putting silicon and rubbish there. So we've got to try and get the gasket for that done with this engine while we're going. And just a few things like that. Parts you can't buy, we're going to try and make them, and our goal is to have, in Australia, the most complete Fergie tractor parts range available that we can. So we'll see how we go. We're very, well, if we're not there, we're very close now, but there's always room for improvement, so we're going to go with that. So, look, that's it. I'll go handheld for a bit, and I'll show you how tidy this shed is. This is where you come in and see all the seats there. This is where me and my mates, we actually sit there and look out the door and fix everything. Everything that's wrong with the world, we fix. There's the old Johnny. We're still using it to put the rags up off the floor. I've got to shift a little bit of stuff for the TE20, and some of that stuff will go on in the next day or so, I'm hoping. The 135 still a jumble. Now, sort of up in that gap there is where I've been doing the engine, but I moved it out to sweep the floor. The TEA20's over here now. It's in a good place, but we're going to tinker away with that. I've got the Land Cruiser in. There's nothing wrong with the Land Cruiser. I've just got the bonnet up, and it's been out. It just gets dirty outside and even in the carport. So I gave that a good wash yesterday, and because we run fridges and auxiliary batteries and solar panels and all that, while it's there, and while I'm at work through the week, I'll take the Triton and we'll just run a smart charger onto the battery to keep everything cooking. Look, this isn't looking too bad. The bench is fairly good. That's where we're setting up this morning to have a play. The injector pump drive off the 23C, I want to hop into that today and have a look. My old bench, it's still a bit of a shambles, but that's all right. And yeah, look, all through here we're pretty tidy. Like I say, last week we got the floor all washed out and things like that. So the 23C, oh, that stand there, that blue point stand that everyone likes, we've got to just wind the handle and the engine turns. That's a great thing, and people have been asking me where I got it from, and I actually got that off a Snap-on dealer when I had the workshop. I had a couple of them, and they're a Blue Point product, and I've sort of been half looking for another one. So when I restore these 35s and the 65, I can have the gearbox on one and the engine on the other. So Hare and Forbes, which is an Australian company, they're like grizzly in the States. Hare and Forbes have just brought one out. So I've bought one and I expect that to be in the shed, well, in the next day or two. We'll see. It'll probably turn up at the shop today, so we'll see. And it's a worm drive the same as that. So yeah, that'll be an interesting little toy to set up, and I should be able to have an engine and a gearbox on the go at the same time. Well, that's it. Thanks for dropping by, everybody. When I turn my sound thing off and back on again as I do different shots, I just had a look, and some of that last one, I think my Tascam D700 up there had come up with a low battery sign, and which I do have a big battery pack on it, and we charged that up overnight. It's like a big phone charger thing that you can, it's about the size of the phone, you can plug in, and it lasts me days. And I charged it up last night and plugged it in, but yeah, the plug door was a bit loose, and for some reason that plug didn't hook up, and we were just running on the batteries in the back of it. So anyway, the sound probably started off well before it ended up without all that. So it doesn't matter, I suppose. We'll see how we go. Well, look, thanks for dropping by, everybody. Have a good week. Hopefully this week you'll see one or two videos out. I've got to try and pace them out a little bit and put out a stew every week, plus one or two other videos. We'll see how we go. But look, stay tuned and have a good week. Catch you all later, eh?